Waiting on an update, boy, that's a good love to spin. Sure, this game is free to play, but it's paid to win. Hey, what's the word? Welcome to another episode of Sunday Sidecar, the series where we get to explore those loopholes in last week's Tuesday Ukeday drop from yours truly, Uke Brute. This week's episode, free to play, pay to win. Before we get into it, just want to do a little side note here about the channel. I originally started this Sunday Sidecar series for Tuesday Ukeday to, I was encouraged by a few people just kind of, give a human touch and dive into the lyrics and some of the songwriting process or whatever. But I also, thought I would, have people link down, or they would, it would direct them to the song in question that we're discussing. So if you haven't seen it yet, the link's in the description below. A lot of people come to these Sunday Sidecar videos, but they don't go to the Tuesday Ukeday song that it's about. Hey, if you're just here for me rambling and ranting about stuff I don't have really the authority to speak about, then let's get into it. And here's some ranting and rambling about stuff I don't have the authority to speak about. So, this song, free to play, pay to win. Very recent song. This song is less than a month old. Just wrote it recently. Again, we discussed this in many other episodes. Yeah, I had a list of 50, it was closer to 60 songs ready to go. But, as I've had to relearn some of them and reteach myself some of them, I'm not a fan of them, or I couldn't figure out how to couldn't reteach myself how to play them. I just couldn't figure it out. So, but in the meantime, I'm also constantly writing new stuff, and I really like this one, and so here it is. We'll get down into the more of the song structure later in the video, and just kind of like the chords and all that good stuff. But this song, from a thematic perspective, it's obviously an analogy comparison between an outdated video game and the U.S., good old America. Yeah, but the song is also the analogy is also obviously flawed because clearly this country is not free to play. That's why you got to earn a living. Excuse the scratches from the scrapster. But in terms of video games versus kind of society, it just feels like we've been waiting on an update, and that circle's just been spinning and spinning, and who knows when we're gonna get it. Everything just seems so 2005 when it should be 2025. It's outdated, full of glitches and bugs, and no one knows the code to fix it. What are those codes? Just poetry, or language, and what is that language? What's the code to fix it? Who knows? And this is gonna date me. Well, obviously the gray in the beard should date me just as much, but in the 90s there was this kind of sense of optimism and that progress was being made. I'm not saying it was great for everyone. Sure, there was tons of discrimination against people of color and LGBTQ communities, any type of minority. Age was a big problem. Crime was actually worse then than it is now, for all things. And but there was still this kind of like I said, a sense of optimism. It was we were coming off the Cold War. It was the end of history according to Fukuyama. There was no more wars because capitalism has won and everything. And it's not just an academic pursuit. Songs like right here, right now, watching the world wake up from history. Right Here, Right Now by Jesus Jones. Watching the world wake up from history because it was the end of history. Granted, I believe Right Here, Right Now came out before Fukuyama's book, The End of History, but it's the general sense because Jesus Jones was still singing about the fall of the Berlin Wall, the dissolution of the USSR, and that type of waking up from history type of thing. And that was kind of like the idea. There's a reason there's all those. It's the '90s was a phrase. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. There's a video compilation of all the shows and movies where oh, it's the '90s, get with it, blah blah blah. And there was that sense, and it just seems like, ever since 9/11, the Great Recession, COVID, a host of other problems, there just doesn't feel like there's any optimism. Not saying I have a solution for it. Like I said, no one knows the code right now. And again, I'm not saying I'm not here to be make America the '90s again. Last thing I'm suggesting either. But it just seems like it's been too long since we've gotten an update, and it feels like we're playing an outdated video game where the only thing you can do is hoard your tokens and hope that you don't get fined, and hope that you can one day make some changes. So that's just kind of what the song is about. There's just a part where I start to say poor instead of core. The original lyric was core, was poor, and it's with a system of credit that punishes its core. Yeah, I did have poor originally, and that's why I went back to it. But I feel like from a gaming analogy, the core, if you have the player core, the player base makes more sense within that. So just pointing that out for that. I also noticed that old Betsy was kind of off the screen, or nearly almost off the screen. I apologize for that, but in case anyone was wondering about the chord progressions in this one, I spent some time before the video to figure out, hey, what am I playing? So it turns out it starts off with a B flat, D, wait, so sorry, B flat, D, D7, and G minor. So. And then we slide down to that E flat. And then again, I have this, F plus C. I'm sure there's an actual chord for it, but I just play the F and the C. So that, first finger on the third string, first fret, second finger on the first string, second fret, and my pinky down there on the fourth string, third fret. So. And then up to B major 7. And so on that B major 7, where it's just kind of like that down bar type of thing, drop your pinky down there onto that C again for the B flat added 9. So E flat, F plus C, B major 7, drop that. I can't say these, the chords are longer than the, saying the chords takes longer than to play it, so it's E flat, B major 7, and I probably should play like this, get that again, just going at it. He's mad that I'm not playing with him right now, because he knows whenever I'm doing something, he needs attention. Don't we all? But yeah, so that was that. It's a very simple progression. Like I said, it's that B flat, D, D7, and then G minor. I think it's a little different than basic though. There's a difference between simple and basic. No, there's just a 9-chord progression. Not that my songs are super complicated in the first place. The majority of them are just anywhere between a 4 to 8 chord verse, and then ideally some type of refrain or a chorus that's between 3 and 8 chords. Sometimes like this, it's just 9 chords, and that's all it is. And I did spend some time trying to chase this melody and trying to find something to add in for a chorus or refrain, but I couldn't really find anything. I'm sure someone else could, but I just thought that it worked the way it did, and so that's why. Man, he's just going to town. Hey, sit down. Sorry about that. But yeah, that's just again, and there's something a little different than simple and basic. Because lots of times when you're trying to learn a song on the ukulele and you have all these adaptations from songs originally written on the guitar or the piano or what have you, the translation is basic. It's it's simple chords, and it doesn't always not always fun to play. And so that's again, one of the biggest reasons I'm sharing these videos is to give some other, purely ukulele songs for others if they want to play them, because they are fun to play. At least I think so. But yeah, they're fun to play, free to play, and you don't need to pay to win in order to rock these bad boys. So that is free to play, pay to win. It's daughter, would just rock or die, but now I just wanna cry. I'm sure that's how most of you feel after watching these videos and listening to these songs. But as always, I thank you very much for tuning in. I do hope you did enjoy. And check the link down for in the description for the original song, Free to Play, Pay to Win. And check back soon for another ditty from Uke Brute.